Follow your heart. Find out why this is the worst advice on today's edition of Liberty at Home. Hello, and thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Liberty at Home. As always, we're broadcasting from Easton Community Access Television, an educational resource and provider of community programming that helps residents, government, schools, and community organizations of Easton produce and share their stories with the worldwide Easton community. Whew, say that 3 times fast. This week, we're continuing our study of Proverbs. So let's grab our Bibles and read a few verses from our next chapter, Proverbs chapter 3. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. I grew up in a different time, a simpler time in a lot of ways. Want an example? I actually remember using paper maps. One of my favorite memories as a kid was heading to AAA with my dad to pick up a custom map for our vacation route each year. But one of my least favorite memories? When we stopped at a gas station to ask for directions. So when GPS came around and became the go-to for in-car navigation, it was a game changer. Honestly, it felt a little bit like magic. Suddenly, this little box could give you perfect directions to anywhere in the world. And trust me, gas stations attendants everywhere celebrated. GPS is amazing when it works properly. But how many times have you put in a location only to end up somewhere completely different? The GPS confidently states, you have reached your destination, but you've left thinking, wait, where am I? Now, let's jump back into the Proverbs for a minute. When I think of this passage, especially verses 5 and 6, I'm reminded of a different kind of navigation, the kind we face every day, navigating through the issues of life. Let's read those verses again. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. As we navigate the paths of life, we have a couple of choices. First, we can buy into the ever-popular advice to follow your heart. But here's the problem with that. Our hearts aren't exactly reliable. They've been tainted by sin. In Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, it says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who could know it? And Solomon echoes this in Proverbs when he says, he that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. So, yeah, following your heart is a bit like following a GPS. It works until it doesn't. Following your heart can lead you straight in some pretty treacherous life situations, to be honest. So, what should we do instead to make sure we end up in the right destination? Simple. Trust in the Lord with your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. Follow him in all your ways, and only then will he direct your paths. In a way, I think these 2 verses could sum up the entire Bible. Think about it. Trusting God, leaning on him, and following his lead is how we receive everything. It's how we're born again. It's how we grow in wisdom. It's how we mature spiritually. It's how we make right decisions. It's how we stay out of trouble, or how we get out of it when we sin. It's how we learn from the hardships and trials of life. Sure, Hollywood rom-coms might tell you to follow your heart, but that's not advice you'll ever find in the Bible. And let's be real, those movies don't exactly reflect reality. Here's something real. When you let God, the all-knowing, all-powerful navigator, lead you down the right paths of life, you'll never have to ask for directions again. Spiritually speaking, of course. You may still have to stop at a gas station for directions the next time your GPS mix up Nantucket and Nantasket, but I can't help you with that. Well, it's time to end this week's edition of Liberty at Home. But before I do, I want to remind you that you have friends at Liberty Baptist Church of Easton. We meet at 800 Washington Street on Route 138, and we have services each Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. To learn more about our church and to connect with all of our digital platforms, check us out at mylibertybaptist.org. Well, I'm Pastor Adam Rivero reminding you that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. See you next week here on ECAT for Liberty at Home.